What's up everybody, I'm Jaspreet Singh, and it's no surprise that Bitcoin has been having a rough 2022 after a very successful September, October, and November in 2021. And if the price of Bitcoin wasn't bad enough, you now have some of the biggest names in finance like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger openly coming out and talking about how they hate Bitcoin. Naturally, this has people wondering what's going to happen to Bitcoin. Is it still a good time to buy Bitcoin? And could it be possible that Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett are right about Bitcoin? I mean, are they ever wrong? Just for full transparency, I should say that Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger have been right many times. That's why they're some of the richest people in the world, because they've made smart investments, but they've also been wrong on some occasions. Like Warren Buffett has talked openly about how he was wrong about technology. He used to hate the idea of investing in tech companies and digital companies, and now he's all for it. I mean, in 2022, he made a big purchase of Apple, and he said he would have kept buying more of Apple if the price of Apple kept going down. This naturally has everybody wondering, is Bitcoin where technology companies were a decade ago, or is Bitcoin something else and it's on its way down? So what I'm going to do today is first talk about why people believe that Bitcoin has value, and then I'm going to go to the other side and talk about why some people believe that Bitcoin doesn't have any value. That way you can understand both sides, and then I'm going to end the video by giving you my opinions and my thoughts about Bitcoin. So make sure you stick around until the end, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, that way you don't miss our new videos. So let me start by talking about why people believe that Bitcoin has value. First has to do with supply, because there's a limited supply of Bitcoin. You will not be able to produce any more than 21 million Bitcoins, and once 21 million Bitcoins are mined and in existence, that's it. We won't be able to produce any more Bitcoins, and then all transactions of Bitcoins will be done with the existing supply of Bitcoins. So the advantage here is if the demand for Bitcoin continues to go up while you have a limited supply, that would mean that the price of Bitcoin would have to go up. I mean, you can compare it to our dollars, which don't have a limited supply. Our paper dollars can be printed essentially on command, and that's what creates inflation. When you print more dollars, it causes the supply of dollars to go up, causing the value of each individual dollar to go down, causing the price of things to go up, because now you need more dollars to go out and buy anything. The second value with Bitcoin is that you can't counterfeit it because it's on the blockchain, so it's impossible for somebody to make an exact replica of Bitcoin and try to scam you that way. Now, there's still scams within the Bitcoin world, but you can't create replica Bitcoins. People have tried, they try to create something similar, but nothing has come close. There's only one Bitcoin, and you can't counterfeit it because it's on the blockchain. Third, your money is transportable. Now, this one's interesting because if you have, say, $100,000 in cash and you wanted to leave the United States, you wanted to go to the other end of the world, you want to go to China, you want to go to India, you want to go to Mexico, you want to go somewhere else. Well, how do you now move this money? Well, if this money is in cash, you can either get this money wired to you over there, or if you can't do that, then you can actually take the cash, put it in a bag, and then transport it to wherever you're going. Now, that can be difficult. But what happens then if your money isn't in cash, it's in other assets? Maybe you own physical real estate, like I'm a real estate investor. If I wanted to pick up and move somewhere else, it becomes extremely difficult because then I have to sell my real estate, move my real estate to cash, and then I can take this cash and move it somewhere else. So if you own physical real estate, it's not very practical to do that unless you go through all the different steps. And if you have physical gold as your money, well, it's the same thing. It's kind of difficult to transport a lot of physical gold. You need a place to put it, you need a place to store it, it can be stolen. Versus Bitcoin is a little bit different, where it's very transportable. Now, it's just a number of codes on a computer or on your phone or on the internet. And so for you to transport it, all you have to do is have access to the internet. Fourth, Bitcoin is easily transferable. Now, it's easy to understand the value of this when we're talking about making transactions within one country. Like if you wanted to go to the grocery store and you wanted to buy something, well, making a digital transaction isn't that different from what we're doing now, because if you're buying with a credit card, it's already digital. This credit card is synced to your bank account, so you don't actually give them any physical money. You're just showing a piece of plastic, which then connects to your bank account. But what happens now if you're transferring money somewhere further, somewhere, say, overseas? This is something that I had to deal with, where I had hired a contractor overseas and they couldn't accept PayPal. We couldn't send money through Transferwise. It was extremely difficult to send money through a wire transfer. So we were trying to figure out a solution. We had spent a couple weeks trying to figure out how I can send money cheaply and effectively and not too difficultly to this contractor that I hired overseas. And then he asked me, hey, can you just pay me in cryptocurrency? And so then I spent like 30 seconds. He gave me his wallet, I copied it and I pasted it and I clicked a button, and then he had already received the money before I could finish typing out an email letting him know that I sent the money. And the fifth reason why people believe that Bitcoin has value, because it's also a store of value. So if you want to mine a Bitcoin right now, it takes energy to do that. It takes electricity, it takes computing power, and this energy that it takes to produce a Bitcoin is then stored in the value and price of one Bitcoin. So in that sense, it kind of works like physical gold, because it takes time, effort, and labor to mine a physical ounce of gold. It takes time, computing power, and electricity to mine Bitcoin, and so that value and energy that it takes to mine the Bitcoin is stored in the value of a Bitcoin. So these are the 5 big reasons why people believe that Bitcoin has value, and that's why people are buying Bitcoin. Now, before I get into why people believe that Bitcoin is going to zero, why Bitcoin doesn't have value, and before I get into my thoughts, I should let you know that if you are interested in purchasing cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, you want to make sure you're using a reputable brokerage, because like I said earlier, there's still a lot of scams out there, and if you're looking for a reputable brokerage, you can check out our sponsor FTX US. FTX US not only makes it easy for you to buy and sell cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, but it makes it very easy for you to dollar cost average your buying of Bitcoin. So the way it works is all you have to do is go into the app and then click Bitcoin, and then you can choose how often you want to make this Bitcoin purchase. You can buy it just one time, you can buy it every month, you can buy it every 2 weeks, you can buy it every week, or you can buy it every day. So you can decide how often you want to make trades, so they make it very easy for you to make reoccurring trades. The part that I really like about FTX, besides the fact that it's very easy to use, is that their fees are so low. If you're using a brokerage somewhere else, you need to look at FTX, because they charge less than pretty much every other major brokerage out there. So you can have more of your money being used to buy cryptocurrency instead of using that money just to make your brokerage richer. And of course, the best part of all is if you sign up for FTX US using my link down in the description below, and then you enter in the referral code minority, they will also give you a free coin, but you have to trade $10 first. So if you click my link down in the description, enter in the referral code minority and trade $10, they will give you a free coin. So if you want to learn more and see how you can try out our sponsor FTX US, all you gotta do is click that button down in the description below. There are 4 main reasons why people don't like Bitcoin. They believe it doesn't have any value and they think it's gonna fail. The first reason being that it's not tangible. You can spend your money buying Bitcoin, but it's not going to put a roof over your head. It's just a code on the internet. So how is that actually going to provide any real value? We talked about physical gold, which people make a similar argument for, but physical gold can be used in some instances. Like physical gold is used in jewelry, and physical gold can be used as a conductor. So gold has real tangible value that you can see, but Bitcoin doesn't. Real estate puts a roof over my head, and if I have land, I can plant avocado trees that I can then eat. But Bitcoin, again, doesn't. Second, the whole idea of Bitcoin is made up. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, a bunch of codes and digits on a computer, versus our dollar is backed by the strength of the United States government and the military and the economy, versus Bitcoin is not. Now, there are countries around the world that are starting to adopt Bitcoin, but here in the United States, we haven't adopted Bitcoin as our legal tender. Now, I know we are creating more regulations about Bitcoin and we are adopting Bitcoin in that way, but it's still, at the end of the day, something that's made up and it's a bunch of codes on a computer, versus our dollars are backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. Now, that's one of the reasons why people want to move to Bitcoin away from the dollar, but that's one of the powers that the dollar has, is that it's supported and backed by the government. Third, since Bitcoin's on the internet, it can be shut down, because if you can't access the internet, you can't access your money. And just like that, it can also be shut down by governments, because if somebody does what China does, like how China banned Bitcoin, well, then that can make it extremely difficult for you to access your money. It can make it extremely difficult for you to access your Bitcoin. Versus with your fiat currency, your dollars, well, it's backed by the government, so they're not going to shut it down. Now, I should mention right here that practically speaking, shutting down Bitcoin at its source is very difficult, because it's not managed by one computer. It's managed by nodes all around the world, and there's thousands of them. So to shut down the entire Bitcoin system is very difficult, and it's not very practical to do that. And the fourth reason why people hate Bitcoin and think that it's going to fail is because, well, it relies on a belief. It relies on a belief that people will have about Bitcoin, that you will continue to believe that Bitcoin has value, because when you have dollars, it's backed by the government. So the government tells you that it has value. When you have physical gold, it can provide value because it can be used in jewelry, it can be used as a conductor. When you have physical real estate, it gives you value because you can live on the real estate, you can plant avocado trees. When you invest in a company, well, that company is producing value. Like if you invest in Amazon, Amazon has created a system that's working to produce profits, that's working to produce revenue, that's that's working to hire employees, that's working to help solve problems. And so all these things produce a very tangible value that's very easy to see and comprehend, versus Bitcoin, on the other hand, provides the value that I talked about, but it doesn't provide that obvious direct value that, say, real estate provides. And this is where people are very critical of Bitcoin, because they say if people stop believing in the value of Bitcoin, then they would sell their Bitcoin and then want to buy something with real value, like, say, real estate or stocks. And so if people start to do that, well, then the price of Bitcoin would tank. Because if people need money because there's a recession happening, something's going on in the world, what are they going to be more likely to sell? Their Bitcoin or their real estate? Well, nowadays in today's economy, you have people that are very passionate about Bitcoin, so maybe they'd be more likely to sell the real estate, because some people would rather have an NFT of an ape than a car. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin does rely on some sort of belief, because if people don't believe in the value of Bitcoin, then it doesn't really have any value. So it needs people to continue buying Bitcoin for it to continue to have value. And this brings me to my thoughts and my beliefs on Bitcoin. So I buy Bitcoin. I buy Bitcoin every single day through a dollar cost average system, like I talked about a little bit earlier with our sponsor FTX. And the way that I buy Bitcoin is I buy Bitcoin every single day. So every day I'm buying a little bit of Bitcoin, whether the value of Bitcoin goes up or down. Doesn't matter to me. I'm buying some Bitcoin every single day. But I also understand that Bitcoin is speculative, so I understand how it plays a piece in my portfolio. The number one biggest investment in my portfolio is my businesses and the startups that I invest in. The second biggest investment in my portfolio is my real estate investments. The third biggest investment in my portfolio are my stocks that I invest in. And then the fourth biggest investment in my portfolio is the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin that I invest in. And then the fifth and last thing that I invest in is the physical gold. So yeah, I believe in Bitcoin. I think that Bitcoin's going to have a lot of value. I think cryptocurrency is going to change the way that we do the internet in the future. But I also understand that there's a risk associated with it, so I invest my money accordingly, right? I have my money invested in things that I understand myself. I invest in my businesses. And then I understand in my more speculative side, that's where I invest in things like Bitcoin. Sure, it has risk. Sure, I believe in it, but I invest my money in it knowing and understanding what the risks are. The last thing that I want to mention on this is the reason why so many people have lost money in Bitcoin is because they try to chase the hype. They see Bitcoin breaking new record highs, and that's when they come in and buy because they get excited. They see so many people making money with Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, and then they don't want to miss out, so that's when they come in and buy at the top, and then it starts to go down, and then they panic, they get scared, and then they sell. Okay, so if you are interested in buying an investment, whether it's cryptocurrency, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's anything else, do your research beforehand, be proactive, and then it's better to buy when the prices are low. But always do your own due diligence and never blindly listen to a random guy on YouTube. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see my interview with Peter Schiff, where he said that Bitcoin's going to zero, you can watch the video by clicking this button right over here. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.
You need to start selling your Bitcoin right now. Don't even wait for the finish of this interview. Very severe and potentially hyperinflation.